Hi everyone.
Might be real life. So,
So,
so hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amina Suman and I'm a self-confidence and wellness coach. This is my sister. She told me to introduce her as my very pretty little sister. So that's what I'm going to say. She asked me to do it. So this is her. Her name is Warda Naeema and she is a second year psychology student. So what do you do?
I'm doing BA in Psychology and Criminology and Forensic Science. It's a double major and it's pretty nice, and that's who I am in the sense of my career.
So why did you want to do this today? You told me that let's just do something together, and you
Yeah.
said that let's sit down and do a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So what happened there? And why we are not prepared at all, which is very evident. Why did you? What made you feel like you want to do it?
I thought it might be a good bonding experience for both of us.
Yeah.
It's about having fun and making memories, isn't it?
Oh wow!
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep your mic here.
Stop it, man. You can't shout at me. I'm 20 years old.
You are not 20 years old for me.
I am 20.
No, I have a very difficult time to accept the fact that you are an adult and you have control on your life. I don't like it.
My biggest trauma in life is that I grew up with a very controlling sister. And for my sister, evidently, I am still 12 years old.
No, she's 6.
That doesn't make it better.
So I was actually thinking recently there was a major relationship crisis in social media where one of the biggest social media influencer and someone who's a very strong advocate for self-confidence and self-help and healing yourself and all of those things, and she was unfortunately cheated on by her partner while she was 4 months pregnant. Now we were having this conversation naturally, and she was sharing her viewpoints and how betrayed she felt. Like this was an ideal woman, she still is, and she was so betrayed by the whole thing, and we were having a conversation about it. And even outside of that, when I was watching the videos people were making about how they feel, I realized that the one thing that I've heard repetitively is the fact that she's done all this work on herself. She healed herself. She became the epitome of self confidence. She advocates for such amazing topics and really actually empowers a lot of women across the world. Now, if she got cheated on and she does so much work on herself and then she got cheated on, then what do we believe in and what is there left? Now, my take on this is what I'd like to share first. The number one thing that I found so strange about is how people think that doing a lot of self help and self work and maybe speaking to a therapist, doing whatever it takes to heal your traumas, people feel like if you do all of that work, it guarantees a life without any problems or challenges or betrayal or anything else in the future. When in fact, that is not the truth at all. What self help and self work helps you do actually is what she did after it actually happened, how she handled it, how gracious she was, how beautifully she expressed herself while at the same time drawing very clear boundaries. That is what I think people missed out a lot on. And since this thing has been happening, this has been in my mind that naturally a lot of people expect that once they do a lot of work on themselves, then on life has to be like perfect, and there has to be no challenges or no betrayal, or even the same trauma can repeat.
I think people think that if you do a lot of self work, nothing bad will happen to you, because there is this narrative called you are what, like, if you are something good, you attract good. And it's a very popular narrative right now.
Yes.
So when they think that, okay, I am doing a lot better and I am healing and I'm doing a lot of self work, they automatically believe they're going to attract people who are of the same energy. But we forget that in human behavior, it's so easy to manipulate. He is not someone of that higher energy, but he really, really put himself out to be like one. So if you see him and if you meet him and you talk to him, you feel like, okay, this guy is something special. But he's not. He's a guy who has very low self esteem, and he kind of relates his worth with the women he's with.
Another thing I feel is we have no right whatsoever to pass on any kind of opinion in the first place. None of us has any right to pass any judgments or opinions on the two people. Only thing that we could do is we could maybe analyze. If you're interested, we can analyze what had happened and maybe learn something that we are not aware of.
Another thing I've noticed is women saying, if Wizard Liz got cheated on, what about us? And I do not understand that narrative because it feels like, okay, there are certain hierarchies of women. There is no hierarchies. We are all women in general. She is someone who did the work. She went through a lot, she did the work, she became who she is right now. Doesn't make any of us smaller than her.
Not at all.
Everyone is going through different phases in their life. Everyone eventually will reach a place where they're like, okay, I need to change how I'm living. But just because she is there where she is right now doesn't make us any way lower than
And
her.
I think that is exactly what she advocates as well. Like,
Yeah.
from all the videos that I've watched in reels and everything, I know that that is exactly what she's advocating for all the women to feel about themselves.
Yeah.
That they are not smaller or lesser than anyone else. That's what she stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the total opposite is happening after her whole situation. We all are normal people, so is she.
Yes.
There is nothing special about being a certain place. Just because she has done a lot of work and she is in that place doesn't make us any worthy of cheating. We are not people who can be cheated on. That is what is coming out of that sentence. She cannot be cheated on. We can be cheated on. That they are separating women to two different categories.
What that brings out, what you've just mentioned, what that brings out is women collectively have a feeling of being inferior.
Yes.
Collectively, not just, of course, we talk a lot about being inferior to men. Within the women communities itself, there are women that feel inferior to other women, which does not have to be. And I think that mostly comes from a place of a lot of insecurity of themselves rather than the other person involved.
Yeah.
Maybe the other woman is maybe a lot more outgoing or a lot more smarter, whatever it is, but they have the inherent insecurity that I am not enough. And that's where the whole thought process of
what about us
comes from. And that is the actual issue here rather than anything else that's happened.
Yeah.
What has happened is what happened in her life. It is an event in her life that took place, and because she was a public personality, everybody knows about it. But this is happening in the lives of very normal women who don't have a platform, who don't have a community, who don't have support, who don't have anything. And this is happening very commonly, in fact. Being cheated on, whether a woman does it to a man or a man does it to a woman, the act in itself is a very disloyal act when it comes to a monogamous relationship. You will always have challenges. Every stage of your life you will be challenged with something that you're uncomfortable with, something that will hurt you, something that will make you feel you're betrayed, something that can break you. Anything could happen. Even after years of self-work, years of trying to be better and breaking all of your trauma and healing through them, this can happen. But what will be different in people who do the work and people who don't do the work is how will they handle when the crisis will anyway come. For me, for you, for everyone, a crisis is coming. Maybe multiple crises is coming. We have no clue. But self-help only guarantees the ability to be more gracious and open and finding solutions easily and going through it, through all the hurt, through all the pain, with a little bit more awareness of yourself, protecting yourself, validating yourself, keeping yourself safe.
If Wizard Liz at the same time was someone with low self worth, it must have not come to her easily to take the decision to leave that marriage. There would have been, especially since she was 4 months pregnant, it would have been a very difficult decision to make. But since she knew her worth, since she knew she had a lot to give, and she loves openly and she respects herself, it was easy for her to make that decision and handle this very difficult situation with a lot of grace. Even myself personally, if I was in her situation, it would have not easily come to me to take that decision to leave, because everyone is still doing their own work. I am, she is, you are, everyone is.
We also have to take a lot of self responsibility. As much as we expect, especially our closest people, that's whom we expect the most from, right? It can be parents, siblings, partners, mostly partners, friends. We expect a lot of things from them, and it's very natural to do so. We are human beings, are social beings. We love having connection, having community. That's who we are. When something does go wrong in a relationship that I was invested in, or in a friendship that I was invested in, when something happens that did hurt, was unexpected, and I felt hurt or betrayed, in that moment, when I get the smallest and slightest hint that some sort of disrespect is there, I take charge in that moment itself. I tell them, this is not happening with me, I cannot deal with this, and I do that in the first hint, first instinct of disrespect. What eventually happens is, we let all the small things go. We like,
When
oh,
big things
it'll
happen.
not happen again. Oh, this is not that big of a deal. Oh, I am being dramatic. Oh, I am overthinking. Oh, I am such a dramatic person. Oh, why am I thinking too much about it? It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, she can say that to me, or he can say that to me. And we let all of these little hints go, and then we wait for that big deal, and then in that moment we're betrayed. There are always signs, and in this case I'm not only talking about a romantic relationship, I'm talking about any relationship you have. Even in your professional work environment, you will always have hints when someone has a bad intention for you, and it's on us that when we find the first hint, we make it very clear that this sort of behavior is not going to work around me.
Like when you kind of let go of that small incidents that happen, you enable them for the bigger one.
Yeah.
You yourself have to take a responsibility that when they crossed your boundary the first time, you didn't say anything, so they don't see the boundary. If you don't say anything, they don't see your boundaries, so they'll overstep and they'll overstep and they'll keep stepping until they're standing right on your heart and just stamping on it. It happens. I am someone who's like, really, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I kind of like letting things go. Maybe because I don't want to take responsibility that the hurt I have been through is also coming from a place where I have not taken any stand for myself. Especially in women, we have been told to adjust and just compromise and understand and just let things go so much since we're born. That's why we kind of, every time we get hurt, we kind of just let things go. And it just doesn't help you. It doesn't help the other person either, because it just makes the other person feel like, okay, I can do this to her. She won't say anything. She is not gonna leave. She is not gonna get angry. She's not gonna keep her boundaries. So it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna walk all over her like she's nothing, and she'll just sit there and say it's fine. We kind of underestimate having our guards up. Having your guard up is really important, especially in this generation. I've noticed you have to have your guard up, because no one, it's not like everyone's not like you. You might have good intentions for everyone, but not everyone have good intentions for you.
So I've just been curious in terms of, how do you think I am with enforcing my my own boundaries?
You're good. You even when you were younger, as I was saying, you had your guard up all the time.
Yes.
Your guard was never down, and you always thought it through before trusting anyone. Even if it's family, or if it's close friends, or if it's your classmates, you didn't completely blindly trust anyone, and that's good. That actually, having that must have saved you from a lot of other kinds of hurt. It's something I don't have. That's what we are very different in. I think before, your boundaries were too harsh.
Yes, because that, in fact, that was my issue.
Yeah.
And that has led me to not have really, when I see people with like friends that I've known for years and they know everything about each other, I never had that, and it's my fault, not my friends' fault. My friends are great, they're amazing people. From as early as I can remember, that I have had my guards up too much. It was too, and my boundaries were too much.
Yeah.
Because I was scared all the time. It was not coming from a place of being so confident or anything. It was actually coming from a place of lot of insecurity, a lot of fear that something can go wrong and people can hurt me. And that resulted in me never being able to create beautiful heart to heart connections. So it worked the opposite way for me. Like she said, I had too much boundaries that it stopped me from having any real relationship. And what she struggles with is keeping real basic boundaries that everybody should keep. She's a lot more emotional than I am. And I see that as a really beautiful thing because I have never been able to be that. I've always thought very objectively and logically, okay, this is the problem, this is the solution, this is what I need to do, that's the action, that's the result. If I am in a really huge crisis, I am so calm and so collected in my brain that I've thought about all the three, four, five, six perspectives on how to deal with it. What could happen if I deal with it in all of these perspectives, and which is the best course of action for me. But this happens only for huge problems. If it's a small problem, something that's too silly and something that's maybe not even a problem, it crushes me down. Like I break down, I cry, I'm like, this is the biggest thing in the whole world. And then people will have to remind me, listen, this is not a problem.
I mean, I've had situations where she comes to me and she's like, Varda, something's really bothering me. And I'm like, if something is bothering my sister, it must have been the end of the world. And she tells me it might be so small. Imagine it's like a package not being delivered on time. It must be so stupid. And I'm like, okay, this woman has gone through so many things and she's been okay. I'm fine, it's fine, I can deal with this. And this happens and she's a mess. She's on the ground, she's crying, she's praying to God, give me an answer. That's very funny. I am neutral in all kinds of crisis. If it's small or big, I feel like I am just neutral. And for me, it's like when something big happens, at that time I'm calm, collected, and I'm like just telling me it's not that big. I'm just telling myself it's not that big of a deal, it's fine. And I actually believe it also when I'm telling myself that. Maybe like 2 months later, it's happened. I'm like, wow, that should not have happened with me. That's not fair. It just hits me after a long time. Maybe I'm just washing my dishes and I'm like, why? And I just stand there, I'm like, why did that whole thing happen? It should not have. She used to have really high boundaries. I felt like this person is a stranger at that time. It was like 10 years ago, I guess. I was also a child and I was also going through things, and she was also a teenager who's going through other things. And even though at that time we only had each other, we kind of forgot that, and we did not actually lean on each other as we should have. We dealt with both of the things in our own ways, and it should not have been like that, but we were all learning life. I used to see boundaries as something that pushes people away. It felt like a closed door. You need to have boundaries, or else your peace and your mental stability is gone. Like, rest in peace, it's gone.
One of the biggest misconception that I see among the clients that I work with, which are women between 25 to 45, one of the most common and repetitive thing that I've heard them say is that they never had boundaries because they felt like boundaries pushes people away from their life. When in fact, what it actually helps us do, it helps you filter out the people in your life, the people who actually really care about you and want to be good, wants to be happy with you, wants to be happy for you. It brings them in, and it filters out everyone who's there to just simply waste your time and does not have any good intentions for you. This boundaries filters them out, and boundaries increases the quality of your life.
I also think that boundaries, especially when it comes to family, it's not something that's very appreciated. If people cared enough, and even though they had no idea what boundaries is and had no idea how to respect someone else's boundary, feel like if they care enough, they will learn. When you're keeping boundaries, people have this misconception that cut them off. It's not about cutting them off, it's mostly about working through it, trying at least to work through the problem and trying to make the other person understand that this is why I have boundary. The why is very important. If you simply tell someone don't overstep, they'll be questioning why. Maybe because your boundary must not be a boundary for them. Something that they did must be a very normal thing for them. In their life, if someone else did it to them, they won't find it offensive. But it might be for you because you've had completely different experience in your life. For you, when you keep a boundary, it's necessary that you take the responsibility to make the other person understand that this is why I'm keeping this boundary and you have to respect it because it makes me feel like this.
I think I disagree a little bit there. I think what happens is, if the person is really important to you, then it is necessary to have the conversation, like you said. It's and very, yes, yeah, people who are very close to us, we can't let them go. Like, siblings and family and really close friends, these are people that we want in our life. There's nobody in the world who wants boundaries more than their people that they love. That does not happen. We all want all of these people in our lives. We want to love them, we want to be loved by them. So for me, how it works is, I think you also meant that. Yeah. That if the person is important to you and you really want them in your life and you love them, then of course communicating the boundary and telling them exactly why it's in place is great. In other case, it's not necessary at all. If it's anybody else who's not that important or special to you, a boundary is a boundary. You don't cross it. Done and dusted. I don't know.
Yes.
That's how I think. That's how I operate as well. If they are not a big part of my life, if I don't meet them much, if they don't know anything about me and I don't know anything about them, if I have a boundary, I have a boundary. That's it. Shut up. Get out. What is the boundary and why it is in place? To communicate that openly, if that person is important to you, it's a great thing to do. It's a one time conversation. And anybody who values you as much as you value them will understand it in that one conversation. They'll know exactly what to do next time. So I think that's a great solution you offered. Another thing that you have to be so mindful about is how you classify the people in your life. The fact is, not everybody you spend time with is not your friends. Everybody is not your best friend. You need to properly classify who people are for you. If it's colleagues, it's colleague. Mention them as this is my colleague, not this is my friend. As we say this is my friend to everyone we meet, we also kind of tend to feel like, oh, this is my friend. The more we repeat it, we also feel like, yes, this is my friend. And you then start expecting what a friend expects from another friend. Be very clear with your classification of the group of people that you spend time with.
Sometimes you might feel like someone is more important to you than you are to them, and you can't blame them because they have a lot of other people in their life that they've met before you or after you that's just clicks more with them, and that's okay. I don't think just because you consider someone your friend, it's necessary that other person considers you as a friend. Once you realize that is how it stands, that's where you need to handle things. You need to take a step back and just think, like, why am I overpouring myself into this person? What is it that I'm expecting from them? What part of me is so hurt that I am overpouring myself to something that's not even helping me in my life?
I think that's a great place to end this video. And few things that you just mentioned in terms of valuing yourself, right? Your self value is not attached to anything that happens to you, any trauma you have, any abuse you've gone through, any sort of betrayal that you've been a part of. Your self value has nothing to do with any of these things. Everybody is going through a crisis, everybody has one thing or the other that's happened to them that's really hurt them and that they are trying to heal from. Everyone, every single person you will ever meet, nobody is 100% clean. Everybody has skeletons in their closet. as people say. Nobody is inferior to you, and you are not inferior to anyone. And more than anybody else treating you that way, you have to learn to treat yourself that way. You have to learn to carry yourself in a way that you're so in love with who you are and you're so confident in who you are and what you've made of yourself that you just do it naturally. And that is the work you need to do. And I think that's a great place to end this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe, I don't know, in the future we'll be back with such conversations. And say bye to her. Bye. Bye. Have fun. Take care. Ta-da. Bye.